Jose Young's here with the MMA Fighting, speaking with fellow Arizona boy Casey Kenney ahead of his fight against Manny Bermudez at UFC 241. Now, do you consider this really your first real UFC? Is this your UFC debut? Because the Ray Borg fight happened, it was short notice. You won. Like, there's no denying there's the W on your record. There was a lot of he didn't agree with the scorecards. Is this your actual? Do you view this as your actual UFC debut, considering you can show what you can actually do with a full camp?
Right, and not necessarily like beating a former title contender in your debut. You can't knock that one, and he can say what he wants, but he didn't do much in the fight. He had a couple good takedowns, but I dominated in the striking. I had way more submissions attempts, way more ground and pound, way more top control when we were on the ground. He took me down, but he never held me down for more than 5 seconds. So in my eyes, I clearly won that fight. Maybe even all 3 rounds, just like the one judge said. So everybody and him can say what they want, but you go back and watch the fight, you look at the numbers, and I won that fight. However, having this full camp, being fully prepared, kind of getting my body acclimated to the bantamweight division a little bit more. This is definitely the best Casey Kenney everyone's going to see.
Well, that was going to be my next. I was going to be a question for later on, but it's an interesting thing you brought up. Like, your body is now acclimatizing to bantamweight. Like, you have to cut all that weight, short notice. Like, that's not easy on anyone's body. Right. But now you feel 100% healthy to show what you can do. Right,
and the bantamweight cut's not that bad. I've been making flyweight for a long time, but that flyweight cut was taking it out of me and losing around like 30 pounds to make flyweight. Not a huge guy, not really, a lot of body fat on me when I'm up in the 150, 55 range either. So I think just not making that flyweight cut has let me let my body grow and kind of just develop the way it should be. Once I get to a certain point, I'm always coming back down, sucking it back down. So I never really got to let my body, kind of just fill out the way it should be.
We were speaking before we went on camera that I've seen you a few times at LFA. You have a pretty big, a lot of fights in your record before you even got to the UFC. There's fighters in the UFC that don't have as many fights as you, period. Was there ever any question like, well, what else am I going to have to do to actually get here?
Yeah, I was talking with my coach the other day. I think, I counted like 5 different times that, I did something that most people get signed for. And then not even that, I got a call from Sean Shelby when I was 5-0, 9 fights
really?
ago,
Yeah.
It was the Lawler-Woodley card. It was to fight Freddie Serrano. So, you can think about how long ago that was, right? And that was right after, it was when I was scheduled for my first Tachi Palace title against Jared Papazian. Actually never went down. He showed up 8 pounds overweight. One of the reasons I didn't take the fight was because I got a call 3 days before for that. What happened was, got off the phone, called me back the next day and said, sorry, Ryan Benoit got back to us. He's already on the roster. Keep winning and we'll get to you. So, however, I think it was the best thing for my career. Here we are 9 fights later. I'm a completely different fighter, completely different weight class, and I love the way I came in. A highlight reel knockout, first ever champ in the LFA. Took out Ray Borg. There's not a better way to come in the UFC.
Well, it's a little reminiscent, and obviously not the same weight class, but when Rumble Johnson came back to the UFC, he beat Phil Davis right away, and it seems like where do you go from there? You beat a former title contender in your debut. Is everything else after that kind of a step down after that? But now you're fighting Manny Bermudez, a guy who's beaten a lot of prospects in his day, missed weight his last fight. Is this a step down from the Ray Borg fight in your mind?
No, I don't think it's a step down. 14-0, 3 submissions in the UFC. That's a record. That's a feat in itself. Especially at bantamweight too. Ray Borg made a lot of noise at flyweight, and he did really well in his last fight, taking out an undefeated prospect in Silva.
Yeah.
So Ray Borg's no joke, but I think Manny Bermudez is definitely a big test for me, and I'm loving tests, man. I like to pass tests.
Is there any fear that he'll miss weight again? He did come on 2 or 3 pounds over in his last fight. Is there any fear that that'll happen again?
Man, honestly, I hope he makes or misses weight. That's just more money for me. Give me your money, let's fight. If you come over 20 pounds overweight, I'm down to fight still. I'm going to take some of your money though.
What do you make of his skill set? You've mentioned the 3 submission wins. It seems like most people, when they bring him up, it's submission or decision. Does he really shine anywhere else in your eyes?
I think he's just okay everywhere else, right? His submissions are, they speak for themselves, but, his striking, his takedowns, his overall MMA game is, it's okay, it's solid, but I don't think it's at the level of mine. I'm considering myself one of the most complete mixed martial artists to walk the earth right now. So I'll find your hole and I'll expose it.
Well, you train at the lab still, correct? I know there was a lot of fighters that left, but you stuck around at the lab, right?
Yep, and then my home's always been Rise Combat Sports. Chris Carriasso. I think this is our 19th, 20th fight together. I had 4 or 5 amateur, now 15 pro with him, and so I've balanced basically the 2 gyms. I bounced between Tucson and Phoenix, the MMA lab and Rise Combat Sports. So not going anywhere for me.
Well, still not really a lack of jiu-jitsu guys you can train with in those 2 places.
Definitely not. Chris is a black belt himself. We got a handful of black belts at Rise. Kyler Phillips, Taqueño at the lab. It doesn't get much better jiu-jitsu than that. I spent a week in Vegas with one of my buddies, Kyle Regis. He's got 10 guillotine wins on his record. So and then I trained with a handful of black belts there. So I'm fully prepared for this. I've seen some of the best jiu-jitsu out there, and only time will tell though.
And one final one. There's a lot going on in your division, especially in the UFC. Henry Cejudo's on the shelf with a shoulder injury. He's calling out Frankie Edgar, who's jumping up or dropping down from featherweight. A win over Manny Bermudez probably put not a title shot right away, obviously, but that's a huge jump. Ray Borg, Manny Bermudez back to back. How much are you actually paying attention to the top of the division and what's happening right now?
Man, even before I was here, I'm a huge fight fan. I know everybody. I watch everybody, and bantamweight's hot right now. It's one of the hottest divisions in the UFC, and I'm super happy to be a part of it, and especially with Uriah Faber, Frankie Edgar coming back, man. I think everybody in the bantamweight division, all us young guns.
We got another guy sitting right next to you, right?
Yeah,
here.
Corey Sandhagen. He's tough. Brandon Davis over here. He's a tough fighter as well. I mean, the bantamweight division is super hot. However, first ever champ, Ray Borg, Manny Bermudez. I feel like I put myself right in the mix with some of the best, and I'd love to grace the octagon with one of those OG guys. Uriah Faber, Frankie Edgar. That would be a surreal experience.
Well, thank you so much, and good luck on Saturday.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate you.